Okay, so it's been a long time coming, but I finally have an update for those who are interested. I guess I'll start with a quick recap. So this is a 1984 Cadillac Sedan DeVille that originally came with a 4.1 liter gasoline V8 HT 4100. And I replaced it with a 1982 Oldsmobile 350 diesel. So 1982, it's a DX block with the poppet injectors. This engine came out of 1982 Oldsmobile Delta 88 factory diesel car. So I guess a little bit of background why I did this swap. So my grandfather, this was my grandfather's old car. He moved from Poland to Canada in the 80s, and so this was just coming out as a new car when he arrived, and he always loved the big Cadillac and Lincoln vehicles. But being from Poland, Europeans, there's a lot more diesel cars in Europe than there is in Canada, so he was always interested in the diesel. And so back in the day, he owned multiple diesel GM vehicles, 98, Sedan DeVille, Coupe DeVille, Delta 88. And so I wanted to keep the car in memory of him. And hearing the stories of the old diesel engine, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to drive one of those around? You know, in my lifetime, I haven't seen a single GM diesel on the road. And so that's where my swap story started. So apart from simply swapping the motor, I managed to integrate the whole diesel engine wiring into the gasoline harness. So the glow plug system all works from the key as if it would from the factory floor. The glow plug relay and all that, I'm using the factory stuff. There's no aftermarket button or added controls. Glow plugs have all been replaced with factory AC Delco plugs. I guess we'll do a quick start up. It's about 10 degrees Celsius here, so I wouldn't call it a cold start, but not necessarily a warm start either. So the gasoline car doesn't have a wait light, so I wired it to the level ride light. Radio. So the level ride light is now the glow plug light. And just like that, the high idle works as well. Here I have status lights. So this left is injection pump power. This one is cold advance timing for the injection pump. This one is high idle. And then this one is glow plugs, so I can see when the glow plugs are on or not. And there we go, the high idle is on right now. I adjusted it so it's, see, I don't know how high to adjust it. I adjusted it just based off of what I think sounds correct for a high idle. It's just a little bit higher than normal idle RPM, but it starts very well so far. The coldest I've started it is 0 degrees Celsius, and it started perfectly fine. No visible smoke or rough starting. And yeah, it runs very smooth. Another note about the sound, diesel cars from the factory had extra sound deadening, which this car doesn't have. Now keeping that in mind, it's remarkable how quiet it runs as is. I was expecting it to be a lot louder. Exhaust is full, like it would be from the factory. A big muffler, and that's it. I'll go and shut it off now. So how I integrated the diesel wiring harness into the gasoline one, I just, at the firewall, there's the pins. I simply tracked down what pins I needed for the diesel controls. Stuff like signals to the wait light and the wait lamp relay. There's a signal that goes from the brake pedal down to the torque converter lockup in the transmission. That was one. Oil pressure light, engine coolant temperature light, charge signal for the alternator. That was all I tracked down through using a test light with the gasoline harness. I marked what wires I needed, and then I simply kept those wires and cut the rest. I added the aftermarket gauges, so that's the coolant temperature gauge there in that slot, and oil pressure I haven't connected yet because I need to tee it off. I still want the dummy light, so I need to tee it off that. And then the charge light is very simple. 2 new interstate batteries, so it starts well with those. Yeah, my cat says hello. And I guess I'll just do a general walk around condition of the car. The car looks better than it actually is. It's been resprayed by the previous owner before my grandfather had it. The biggest thing exterior wise are the rubber body fillers. This corner is the worst one. It's completely gone. And the rear corner pieces are starting to break as well. But they're not too bad yet. They're mostly still there. Rust on the exterior, there's not a lot of rust. For the chassis being from 1984, it's pretty good. I have a little under the window there. The wheel wells are okay still, but the biggest thing is the vinyl top. It's still pretty good condition. It's not ripped yet. The seams are starting to separate, but unfortunately underneath the top there are rust bubbles. When you press, you can feel the crunch of the rust. So once this vinyl top rips, that will most likely be the end of the line for this vehicle, because as I said, it looks good on the outside. It doesn't look too bad. However, underneath there's a lot of rust. Underneath the vinyl top there are rust holes, well, I'm sure there are going to be holes by the time I get to them. In the trunk, there are holes right through. Water gets in the trunk. Underneath the rear seat, there are holes. I can show you this one pretty easily. Right there, right through the car. Floor pans, some have been replaced, some of them have holes still. Under the dash, right by the windshield, there's rust. The windshield leaks quite a bit of water. I don't know if it's bleeding through the vinyl. I don't think so. I believe it's just at this seam, but all under here is going to be rust as well. And while I'm good with mechanical repairs, bodywork is not one of my strong suits yet. So by the time I tackle all the rust, it's going to be a better financial decision to purchase a new vehicle, probably from down south, that doesn't have a lot of rust, and just do the diesel swap once again.